All right, guys, before we get into it, I want to remind everybody that summertime does mean baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can get all of it on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with a winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from a finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
All right, Anthony, let's get to Amari Cooper, guys. You got something real quick, Mike, or no?
We'll save the FanDuel ticket for the next revamp. But we got a crazy FanDuel ticket.
Is it Tyvus's?
No, we're saving Tyvus's for
I
tomorrow.
couldn't even follow what was going on there. He sent like 82 pictures of his parlay. I was confused.
We'll do that later because we got to get into the clip.
Right.
We'll do the other one later.
Yeah.
But Alex Groder had a great win. We'll tell you about it coming up in the next FanDuel read.
So let's talk about the Amari Cooper situation here, guys. So yesterday we learned that Amari Cooper was sitting out the offseason minicamp. This is the mandatory.
This is mandatory, yes.
So he didn't go. Now, I think we start off by saying there's plenty of veteran players that don't go to mandatory minicamp. However, I think it's pretty clear that he's making a statement. G, you weren't here yesterday. Do you think there's any disagreement on that? I don't think this was random. He's clearly making a statement.
He was at the Njoku softball game this weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
So he's in Cleveland. He's in Cleveland.
Nah, what's the name? Deshaun Watson talked about it. He was like, "Yo, we in contact with Amari. That's our guy." He's like, "Yeah, he's definitely talking about his money." When Jerry Jeudy got that bag, and it's not about Jerry Jeudy specifically. When Jerry Jeudy got the bag, it was like, "Yo, good and well." Amari Cooper's like, "All I do is consistently give you 1,100."
Yeah.
Even no matter what quarterback is there, I'm giving you 1,100. Like, so he's feeling like I performed and I've done it injured the last 2 years. So for him, he's like, "Look, I'm gonna skip this one. We'll talk about it and see how it goes." But we already know that he's gonna be able to get the playbook. We already know he's a professional route runner. We know what his production is. So it's not like he's going to come back in out of shape and garbage. But, yeah, I expected him to not to be in regular camp.
And, Mike, I assume you feel the same way?
Yeah, and obviously there's been the run on wide receiver contracts. He went from being a top 15 paid receiver to he's now the 20th highest paid receiver, and that's before CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase get contracts. So he's going to be on the back end of 25, and he's certainly a better receiver than the 25th best receiver in football. So I think he's looking at the situation saying, look at the caliber of player I am. That does not match the current contract I'm on. And let's see if we come to some sort of agreement here.
What do you think is a bigger factor for him? Is it the Jeudy contract, or is it all the contracts that have the others?
Judy's making less money than Amari is this year. So I don't think it's the Jeudy contract. I think he's looking at it saying, I'm entering the final year of my deal. You look at all these other guys who got extensions this year. Jefferson, Waddle, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith.
Those guys are all a lot younger than him.
And I have their ages, and they're frankly in the same tier but significantly younger. The average age of guys, and I did the math on this, boy, you'll be proud of me for this. The average age of the guys who got contract extensions this summer, 24.83 years old. Amari turns 30 next week. So there's a large age gap. However,
a big difference.
These guys have all got paid and they have similar production to Amari. Amari's not looking at his age as the reason he shouldn't get paid. And a guy like Mike Evans, to start this offseason, got a 2-year, $41 million extension, which is the same amount of money essentially that Amari's getting right now, 20.5 versus 20 for Amari. I just think he wants to get paid like the receiver he is on the field.
Okay, so if Mike Evans, is Mike Evans a fair comp? I would argue that Mike Evans has been better in his career than Amari Cooper.
And he was better last year.
I would argue that. I think it's a good comp. Because he's an older receiver. Generally speaking, you don't pay older receivers like that. I think he's just trying to get his last big deal. That's just,
And I think he wants some guaranteed money because let's face it, if he has a bad year this year, he's not getting a big contract next year. Because of his age. Let's say he go. I hope not.
Let's say he plays 8 games and has 700 yards.
Right, and he has a decent season based on the games he plays, but he misses a lot of time. Coming off missing time last year, he turns 31 at the beginning of next season. He's not getting a big contract. So I think for me, there's a couple of things at play here. Number one, I do think the Jerry Jeudy contract is a big factor. Not the amount of money, but the fact that the Browns not just Jerry Jeudy, but the Browns, and I haven't said this very often in the years I've been covering the Browns, the Browns have done a great job of locking up their players and satisfying their players in recent years. They've done a better job than most teams in the NFL at that. But they haven't done it with this guy. Now, we could argue that, well, this guy's going to be about to turn 30, and he's signed for this year. Why should we pay him for years 31, 32 when we don't know, when a lot of receivers go over the cliff in those years? But as you said, Every player thinks I'm not going to go over the cliff just because A.J. Green went over the cliff or whatever went over the cliff. Julio Jones doesn't mean I'm going to go over the cliff. So I think I was very productive last year. I was the best player. I'm the first player in the history of the franchise. The first wide receiver in the history of the franchise to have the first player ever in the history of the franchise to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. In fact, Ozzie Newsome, who had 1,001 and 1,002, not back-to-back, is the only other player in the history of the franchise to have 2,000-yard seasons ever.
And he did it with P.J. Walker.
With bad quarterback play for the most
part. DTR and Flacco. And, he had Deshaun Watson for a couple of games, but it wasn't like he was playing with a full deck of cards like that. And plus he going to look at it like this, man. Like, everybody – he may not even specifically look at a guy like Jerry Jeudy. He might look at it like Jack Conklin. Y'all gave him some money and didn't have to.
And Njoku. Like, they've paid guys before they've had to. Yeah. Now, Amari's the flip side of that. He's produced. You're paying now for what you have in hand, not what you hope they could turn into, like they did with Njoku, like they did with Conklin to an extent, like they did with Jerry Jeudy specifically this offseason. And when you look at all the guys who get paid, Amari Cooper has been just as productive as most of them. He's not on the Justin Jefferson level. Like, he's not on the CeeDee Lamb level in terms of production. But he had similar numbers to Mike Evans last year. He had similar numbers to Nico Collins last year. Jalen Waddle, he had fewer yards but more receptions. Like, he's in that same range of receiver. And when he sees everyone else get money, it's human nature to say, hey, where's my bag too? So I don't mind, and I have no issue whatsoever with Amari Cooper saying, hey, I deserve to get paid for what I've done. The question is, what are the Browns willing to do on the flip side?
Right. And the Browns have set a precedent that they pay their guys.
Yeah.
So if I'm Amari Cooper, I understand. Now, the bottom line is he's not going to hold out during the season.
No.
We know this. Mm-hmm. He's not going to sit out. I guess we don't know that for sure, but I'd be stunned if Amari Cooper is holding out for a contract in season. I think he's sending a message now. I get it. I'm with him. The Browns are in a tricky spot because it's dangerous to give guaranteed money to older receivers. But as you say, you could say at least, Jeudy and Njoku, obviously a lot younger, and they were unproven, both of them. Neither one of them is anywhere close to Amari Cooper's ballpark as a player. But they were younger, so the Browns could say, well, we paid them because they're younger. But as you said, I know it's a different position. Jack Conklin was old. And although Jack Conklin in his career has been productive at times, he hasn't been that productive in recent years because he's been hurt.
Yeah.
So they paid an older guy who's way more injury prone than Amari Cooper. Again, I understand it's a different position. But still, that was a big risk with Conklin, and they took it. So while normally I would say, you know what? Screw him. Let him play on it, and if he's pissed, he's pissed. I think because of the precedent the Browns have set, and because Jimmy Haslam has made it very clear time and time again that money is no object and the cap is no object, I know it's probably risky. It could end up being a mistake, but I would probably lock up Amari Cooper in an extension.
And you got to think about it. They ain't even declined, no fifth-year options. Like, Newsome even got a fifth year.
Right. Yeah.
Jed Wills got a fifth. Yeah. So that's just basically and guys is petty. When we grow up, we get petty, man. Back in the day, I used to always say, man, I got some of the gym shoes, but I didn't get all of them. I couldn't get all of them. We had three people, three boys in our family. I was the oldest, so we couldn't get all of them like that. We got a lot of shots from my mom, and they tried. But, when you get older, there's no excuses.
No.
I signed in every one of my contracts, which is my marriages. I will buy any pair of shoes that I need. Tyvis got them, I'm getting them. If Earl thought about getting them, I'm getting them. You be just petty. Can you imagine? That's just about gym shoes and dumb stuff, like video games. Can you imagine if you really sitting there, you I'm the 25th highest paid receiver. I got the all-time leading, I'm the leading receiver in yards in a game. I put up these numbers last year where all these other people who got contracts was not playing, not healthy.
And I got 2 points on this. Right now, as of today, it's June 12th, right? He's negotiating against and in the same realm of guys like Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. And Nico Collins and Jalen Waddle, et cetera, in that caliber of receiver who got $20+ million a year.
I don't know that he's those young guys. I don't know.
I'm saying those are the guys that just got extensions right now. I'm saying those are the guys that he's hey, look what he got, look what he got, look what he got. if he has a season that's not as productive, Bull, right? Like you said, on a worst case scenario, let's just say he plays 8 games at 700 yards, for example. I'm not hoping this by no means. I'm just making the comparison. He goes into next offseason as an unrestricted free agent, looking for a contract like Adam Thielen got from Carolina, which was 3 years, $25 million. He signed it when he was 31 years old, or 32. Amari Cooper will be 31 next season when he's getting that contract. He goes from trying to make $20 million a year to making about $8 million a year, which is why he's trying to get his money now.
So what you think? Right. What you think the deal? Like, to me, they need to go out there and be like, listen, we're gonna give you 2 years, about 47 and a half.
2 years on top of this year. Like for 2 more years?
No,
we'll
void that.
See, that's the smart move.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Instead of, what I would do is offer him a raise for this season, offer him a guaranteed contract for next season, and then offer him a 3rd year that you can get out of.
Yep.
So
but you got to give him more money in those years.
47
because he probably wants 2 years on top of this.
Yes.
But if you pay him enough this year and next year, you probably get him to sign without locking the 3rd year up.
I was on the same wavelength, Bo. So he's making about $20 million this year.
Yeah.
His cap hits 24, but he's making about 20. If you gave him a 2-year, $50 million contract, it's more than Mike Evans. And obviously Mike Evans signed first. The next one's always more.
Right.
And it's essentially, hey, we're getting $30 million this year, and you get $20 million guaranteed for next year too. Yeah. And then that 3rd year, you could finagle it, make it a void year, however you want to do it.
Yep.
Team option. I think that's a deal that works for both sides. And part of the reason I think the Browns have to make this happen, and Tyvus talked about last year, well, if you let him walk, you use that 1st-round draft pick on a receiver, right? And he just threw that as a hypothetical. There's no guarantee Jed Wills is back next season. That 1st-round pick may be needed for a tackle. And if I'm looking, and there's more options to consider, I'm just looking at these 2 in particular. What do I think is a better option for the Browns moving forward? Either extending Jed Wills or extending Amari Cooper, even though Cooper's older. I'm going with Cooper 10 out of 10 times just because of the caliber of player he is versus the unknown
And we're
of Jed
only
Wills.
talking about 1 year extension. Now, ultimately, I don't know. Maybe we're wrong, and he wouldn't do it unless they gave him 2 more guaranteed years. I don't know. But I think it makes a lot of sense to I think that's the number. 2 for 50, 2 for 52, whatever. Give him a big boost for this year, give him a nice guarantee for next year, and then essentially the Browns have an option for the year after that where
if he's still good, you pick it up and you pay him.
Whatever,
if he's not, you get out of it.
I think that's the way to go because the guy. I mean, think about his career. He's been in the league, 10 years?
Yeah.
This will be his 10th season.
This will be his 10th. So 9 years in the league, okay? He's played. Think about the quarterbacks he's played with. Now he had Dak. He was in Dallas for 3 years, but remember, one of those years, Dak missed most of the season. Remember,
that was the Cooper Rush year.
Right. So in 9 years, he's had a good quarterback for 2 seasons, really, because 2 years with Dak.
Facts.
The other 7 seasons he's played with, guys like Derek Carr's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's mostly played with bad quarterbacks here, or mediocre at the best, mediocre in Oakland. And then not very good that 1 year with Dallas. So that's 7 out of 9 years. You look at the numbers he's consistently put up. Listen, Amari Cooper I don't think is a Hall of Famer. I don't think. I guess maybe that's a discussion for another day. I don't think he is. It's his exclusive club. But, he's in that next group. He's like the Fred McGriff. Although, did Fred McGriff make the Hall of Fame? No, I can't remember.
Baseball Hall of Fame is.
He's like that group of guys who you look back and be like, that guy was a hell of a receiver. Not a Hall of Famer, but he was a consistently very good player. And there's something to be said for that because the Browns have never had a player like that.
No.
Not in modern history. And listen, I know people are high on Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has proven nothing. He's proven through 4 years. And again, he's played with bad quarterbacks, to be fair. But Amari Cooper played for bad quarterbacks. I mean, listen, Derek Carr's better than what they had in Denver, to be fair. But he still put up big-time numbers with not great quarterbacks for the most part. Jerry Jeudy's put up okay numbers, serviceable, 3rd receiver numbers. Jerry Jeudy's proven he's a serviceable wide receiver. Amari Cooper is a borderline Pro Bowler to Pro Bowler.
Now,
that's a big difference.
Now I wouldn't say 3rd. 3rd is kind of that's Elijah Moore.
I think Elijah Moore's a 4 in my mind.
You guys are. He hasn't been a number 1, which is what you drafted at 50.
Right.
Whatever. You want to say he's a 2?
He's
fine.
a 2.
But
2.
Let's say Jerry Jeudy has another season like he's had. Whereas, 850 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Hold on. If Jerry Jeudy got 850 yards, depending on what everybody else got.
Yeah.
Because if Amari Cooper give me that 1,100, and then Njoku giving me 1,000, then I'm looking around like, well, look, that's not too bad, 850.
It's not too bad, but
I'll take the 850, and
I'm
Elijah
not-
Moore give me 500-600.
Do you have confidence? Amari Cooper's a number one receiver.
Yes.
He may not be at top of the one receiver pile, but he's a number one receiver.
He's a bona fide one receiver.
Jerry Jeudy is not. Now, doesn't mean he
No.
can't be, but he's not right now.
No.
So, yes, it's risky because of age with Amari Cooper. I would take that. Like, what's the bigger risk? If you don't sign him and Jerry Jeudy doesn't pan out, then you got no number one wide receiver. That's a big problem.
No, you tearing down Project Stockpile now. Like
Yeah, right.
I didn't already say we need to hedge all our bets. We need.
Yeah.
We're looking for Elijah Moore to bounce back and do something too. Like,
Well, he's on last year's contract too.
Yeah,
He might be looking for a new deal, and it's not going to come here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could have a great season that changes, but right now, if you're looking at who you're going to pay, Amari or Elijah,
I mean,
it's not even a question.
At this point, Elijah is at best their fourth option in the
he
best.
he got to be looking like, hey, I need to put some good stuff on film. That's what he should.
Yeah,
be
right,
doing.
right.
I need some good
he's
stuff.
going to be a
on
kick
tape.
returner. I'm telling you, he's going to get a chance to return kicks this year.
Listen,
and he's going to be. He was really good at Ole Miss returning kicks. He's going to get a chance to do it and be successful. I'm feeling pretty confident.
Is that the
in
guy who you thought was? What's his name? Say we got to.
Well, Myles Garrett allegedly raised his hand when Kevin Stefanski asked about it yesterday, but I think Elijah Moore is going to end up being their best returner this year.
That would be kind of hard.
Totally different.
Myles
topic.
Garrett returning kicks. All right, let's put a bow on this. Even though we all want it to happen and it makes sense to us, are you confident that the Browns will extend Amari Cooper before the season?
I am confident because I don't think they could go into 2024 with Amari on the last year of his deal with the uncertainty in the rest of the receiver room, knowing this is the make or break year for Deshaun. I don't think they can do that. It can't be a distraction.
Yeah, we can't do that. Come on, get that done.
I'm not 100% confident they're going to do that, but they've done a pretty good job of these extensions, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll get it done. Anthony,